What if the one man you hated your entire life turned out to be good, right before you watched him die again? Let that question sit for a second, because that's exactly what James Gunn just did to John Cena's Peacemaker. And honestly, I'm not sure if I should call it brilliant or brutal. I mean, only James Gunn would make a Nazi Earth emotional. Who does that? We went from helmet jokes and heavy metal soundtracks to crying over a man we once prayed would stay dead. But Episode 7 didn't just twist the knife. It forged a new one inside Peacemaker's soul. Because this time, it wasn't about killing a monster. It was about losing the one person he finally thought could love him. Let's rewind for a second. In Season 1, Peacemaker had to kill his father, Auggie Smith, a man so racist, so hateful, he made even villains look uncomfortable. That moment defined Chris. It broke him, haunted him, and shaped everything we've seen since. But Season 2? Oh, Gunn went deeper. He said, what if your trauma had a mirror version? What if your worst memory replayed itself, but with a cruel twist? And that's exactly what Episode 7 delivers. This perfect world, this supposed heaven dimension Peacemaker and his team stumbled into. Yeah, turns out it's not heaven at all. It's Earth X, a dimension where Nazis won World War II. So when Chris meets another version of his father there, your brain immediately goes, oh great, here we go again. Another white supremacist psycho. Except, this one's different. This version of Auggie Smith, played once again by Robert Patrick, isn't the monster we knew. He's good. Kind even. He's a man fighting against fascism. The same fascism his other self worshipped. And that's when it hits you, Peacemaker's nightmare just flipped inside out. Because now he has to face a version of his father who deserved to live. And if you've been following this story since Season 1, you know, Chris doesn't do closure. He does guilt. He does pain. He does jokes to hide how broken he is. So when Auggie X dies saving people, trying to make peace in a world that's beyond saving, it doesn't just break Peacemaker. It shatters the illusion that redemption even exists in his world. And here's where it gets darker, because James Gunn confirmed it himself. On Threads, he said this version of Auggie is generally a good human being who's opposed to what the Nazis are doing. Let that sink in. Opposed to what the Nazis are doing. In a world built on hate, this man chose to fight back. He could have been the father Chris always wanted. But of course, fate, or Gunn, had other plans. Vigilante kills him. Yeah, Vigilante. The one man Chris actually trusts. Because on Earth X, chaos doesn't ask for your permission. And you can feel it. The way John Cena plays that final moment. Chris doesn't even scream. He just breaks. Like part of him knew he'd never be allowed to have a good father. Not in any world. Not in any version of reality. That's the cruelty of this twist. It's not just a multiverse story. It's a psychological punishment. It's the universe saying, you don't get to heal Chris. You get to relive it. And here's where the real pain kicks in. Because for the first time, Peacemaker didn't just kill his father. He lost him. The first time it was an act of rage. This time it's helplessness. And that difference, that's the tragedy. Because you can move on from anger. You can't move on from what if. What if he'd talked to him longer? What if he'd believed him sooner? What if he'd finally said the words, I forgive you? Those are the questions that eat Peacemaker alive. And Gunn knows it. He wants you to feel it. That gut-level ache of a man who keeps trying to fix the past in a world that refuses to let him. But this episode's twist doesn't just break hearts. It exposes something deeper. That maybe Peacemaker isn't cursed by fate. Maybe he's cursed by reflection. Think about it. Every version of Auggie is a reflection of who Chris could become. Bitter, violent, or redemptive. And in killing the good Auggie, he's basically killing his own shot at peace. Now tell me that's not tragic genius. And before we go further, if you're the kind of person who loves peeling back these emotional layers, if you want more of these hidden truths behind superhero stories, hit that subscribe button right now. Because when I tell you what's coming in the Season 2 finale, it's not just explosive, it's existential. Alright, so here's the part that nobody's talking about. The real meaning of Earth X. Because what if this wasn't just a tragic, what if, world? What if it's the universe testing Peacemaker's soul? James Gunn doesn't write coincidences. Everything in his world connects, emotionally, spiritually, and yes, multiversally. So when Peacemaker steps into Earth X, he's not entering a new dimension. He's stepping inside the one place he never wanted to go, his own guilt. This is where our next part begins. Because the secret behind Auggie's death, and the real purpose of the quantum unfolding chamber, might be something far darker than anyone's realized. Because what if this entire war, the chaos between universes, isn't a war at all? What if it's therapy disguised as tragedy and Peacemaker? He's the patient who keeps failing the test. Every time James Gunn gives Peacemaker a moment of peace, he rips it away like it was never meant to exist. That's not just writing. That's emotional warfare. And Episode 7 proves Gunn isn't building a superhero. He's dissecting one. Because here's the secret no one's really talking about. Earth X isn't just a parallel world. It's a mirror. And mirrors, in Gunn's universe, don't just reflect faces, they reflect failures. Let's talk about that quantum unfolding chamber. Everyone's calling it a weapon, the next big thing RGUS wants to control. But what if it's not a weapon at all? What if it's a machine built to unfold reality itself? Or worse, consciousness. Think about it. Every time Chris steps into a new universe, he isn't just changing locations. He's confronting versions of himself. The man he could have been, the man he fears he still is, and the man he'll never become. This isn't sci-fi anymore. This is psychological torture, engineered by fate, filmed by James Gunn, and powered by the deepest guilt a human can carry. Let's go deeper. Augie's final words before dying on Earth X. You only fight the monsters in front of you because that's all you can control. That's the line that breaks everything open. Because it's not just about the war. It's about Chris's entire identity. He's been killing monsters his whole life. But what if the real monster is the idea that killing makes peace? It's the same philosophy that made him Peacemaker. A man willing to kill for peace. And now, faced with the truth that maybe peace doesn't come from violence at all. And this is where Gunn's genius hides in plain sight. Because the version of Auggie who wasn't a racist monster, that's not a coincidence. It's Gunn asking a terrifying question. If trauma shapes who we are, what happens when you remove it? On Earth X, Chris meets the version of his father without the hatred. The same face, same DNA, but a different soul. And what happens? Chris still loses him. Because no matter what version of reality he's in, loss always finds him. That's the curse of Christopher Smith. It's not that his world is cruel. It's that his heart doesn't believe it can be kind. Now let's talk about something almost nobody caught: the chamber. Every time it activates, the screen flickers, just for half a second, and you hear a faint whisper that sounds like Chris himself. Reversed, distorted, pleading. If you slow it down, it sounds like, "Don't make me do it again." Coincidence. Come on. James Gunn doesn't do coincidences. He's literally showing us that this quantum chamber is Peacemaker's prison, a physical representation of his inner guilt loop. The chamber doesn't just connect worlds, it connects choices. And that's why the episode feels so heavy. Because you're not watching multiversal chaos. You're watching a man relive the worst moments of his life in endless variations until he learns the one lesson: he refuses to forgiveness.